All right, we are recording. Okay, for online folks, please feel free to unmute yourself and interrupt me. I won't be able to have you fully on my screen at all times, so I don't want to move ahead if there's a question you have. So make yourself known. Andrea is here in the chat if you need us. She'll also kind of be popping in and out. So if you have specific questions, she'll do her best to answer those. For all of you here, thank you for joining us. And again, throughout this presentation, if you need more clarity, if you have questions, you do not have to hold them to the end. Feel free to ask as we go. It's nice to see some familiar faces. So thank you everybody for joining me this morning as we talk about the 2024 Libro Business Plan Challenge. I'm excited to see a good turnout. We have another afternoon session with another, I think, 10 or 15 people as well. So that's really great to see. So today, I'm hoping going through this workshop will just help you be as best prepared as possible. You'll have all the knowledge and be armed with making sure you know exactly what's going into this rubric and just kind of some best practices and best tips that we can kind of give to help you make the best pitch possible. Okay. After the workshop today, after both sessions today, we will send the recording along with some competition resource documents as well. So keep an eye on your email. Sometimes emails from Leap Junction go to your spam inbox. So in the next couple of days, make sure you're checking in there because there'll be about 5 different links we'll send you. We'll have a bunch of different stuff in there that can help you with creating your pitch. So for those of you who don't know me here, my name is David Ouellette. I am one of the business advisors at Leap Junction. Nick is also one of our advisors. You would see him on competition day as well as Dr. David McKenna. We will be your moderators on the day of if you make it to the final rounds. But for those who have never been to our office or who do not utilize our services, we are the Fanshawe College Entrepreneurship Center. So we support all current students as well as graduates and staff who are looking to explore entrepreneurship as a career path. So if you've got a business idea that maybe you're working on for this competition, or if maybe in the future you're just looking for support or help to move your idea forward or grow a business that already exists, our advisory team, Nick and I, and the rest of our staff are free anytime to chat with, and you can book time with us through our website, leapjunction.ca, which I hope you've gone to at least to check out the competition details. But today we're going to be guiding you through creating the best pitch possible. But before I do that, one quick note is if you are working on a business and you got an idea you're researching, we also have our Leap In Summer Business Accelerator program. And I want to mention this because applications for this are open right now. This is a chance to work on your business for the summertime with us over 12 weeks. And participants in that program get $5,000 of funding towards their business. If you want to learn more details about that, please visit our website. Check out the workshop. We hosted it yesterday, actually. There is a video on there that goes through the full details of the program, what to expect. There's testimonials on there as well as a full breakdown of the program. And you can see the link to our application, which must be in by 11:59 p.m. on March 1st. Okay, that's a little bit about Leap In. Again, a quick reminder, the Libro Business Plan Challenge submissions, I know it's really small. Submissions are due for round 1, February 23rd. Don't forget that, write that date down. February 23rd is the last possible day. If it comes in past 11:59 p.m., it will not be accepted. So this is your opportunity as a Fanshawe College student. This is only for current students to showcase your entrepreneurial prowess. You're going to get a chance to pitch your, groundbreaking idea or a business plan that you've been working on to a panel of industry professionals. The judges will consist of 2 entrepreneurs from the local community, 2 people from Libro Credit Union, who is our major sponsor of the program or of the competition, as well as some Lawrence Killen School of Business faculty. So there'll be anywhere from about 4 to 6 people on the panel. And then some of our team will just be there to moderate, make sure the judges are staying on task and making sure you have everything you need for AV solutions so you don't end up with the troubles I had today. So the event is, as I said, a collaboration kind of between the 3 of us, Leap, the School of Business, as well as Libro Credit Union. And it's your chance to compete for cash prizes. First place, $1,500, second place, $1,000, third, $750. And then we have the $500 People's Choice Award as well, which I'll talk about after. And this could be, used to catapult your business forward, or it can be used however you see fit for alleviating some of those, harsh financial student demands as well. But again, the reminder is that the pitch is due on February 23rd. So what we're going to go through today, just some basic challenge info, and then we're going to go through actually the essence of the pitch, which is the big part, your introduction, that hook, talking about your target market, identifying your opportunity and demand, talking about your solution, as well as your marketing strategy, and then wrapping it all up. And then we'll go over, I think 7 key tips on how to make a great video. Okay, any questions about our agenda for today? We're all good to go? Awesome. Okay. So, first question, a lot of people ask, does this have to be a business that you plan on moving forward with? No, it does not. The business plan challenge is just doing your best pitch possible. It's awesome if it is, but it does not have to be. So it can be a business that you've been working on for a class, or it can be something all your own. Regardless, it is your chance to turn it into something that can win you some money. And hopefully, obviously, as the Entrepreneurship Center, we're hoping that it, helps you move your business idea forward and support your financial demands. Okay, so how the challenge actually works is there's 2 parts. Part 1 is creating and actually submitting the video pitch, which we're mainly talking about today. So as a contestant, you've got to pre-record a 5-minute video pitch. It's going to introduce and lay out the details of your business concept, which I said is due February 23rd. That's the 4th time I reminded you now, right? We know the deadline. And then our judges will meticulously review all the submissions from all campuses. And then they will select the 10 best finalists by March 1st. And if you're selected, you'll advance on to the second round. And the second round is preparing for the live 10-minute presentation. Those 10 finalists will do their live business plan presentation before the judges. You'll each be given a time slot of about 20 minutes. In there will be a little bit of time for setup. And then we've got a solid about 8 to 10 minutes for questions as well from the judges panel. Now, to ensure that you are very prepared for that live presentation, you will be provided with coaching sessions from Fanshawe faculty from the School of Business from March 11th to March 22nd.
Every day?
You do not have, no, that is the window where you can book time with them. So everybody who is selected as a finalist will be assigned a coach, and then you will contact with that coach and you'll find a schedule between the 2 of you that works best. I don't think every day would be effective because you wouldn't have time to make changes. Yeah. So usually how those usually go is, you've got your pre-recorded 5-minute pitch. Before you even meet with the coach, you'll get the rubric for round 2. So you'll know exactly what you need to add. The coach will review your video. You'll meet first and do a bit of an assessment, what went right, what might have went wrong. You'll have that chance to kind of hear their take on it. And then maybe you go make some changes and then you meet again during that time to kind of hone in on that pitch. So it's up to you to kind of manage that time and manage the effectiveness of the coach. Okay. So if you don't come prepared, they won't really have much to coach you on. Okay. Now, just to give everybody a heads up, what gets added if you become a finalist that is not in the 5-minute pitch is a full competitive analysis. So looking at the competitive landscape, you've got a marketing strategy becomes a lot more elaborate, as well as financial plan and financial projections get added to the 10-minute presentation. That's what makes up the other 5 minutes, basically. Okay. Okay. So there are some resources that you can find. They're on the website, the competition website. Towards the bottom, you'll see like resources to help build your pitch. There is a sample participant deck that's built off of this presentation, because you do need a slide deck with the video. There is the rubric, which you now all have a copy of anyways. And then there's a Google Doc that has a whole list of all sorts of other links and tools. There are articles that help with building pitches. There's video creation tools. If making a video for this is not your forte, but just to lay it out there, the quality of the video will not impede the score of what you get. There are some bonus points for creativity and wow factor. But it doesn't have to be any more than you and the laptop, recording it, sharing your screen over Zoom. Okay. But we do need to see the slides and we do need to see you. okay? However else you want to get in there and get creative, that's up to you, okay? Now, just to go over this, let's lay it out right out there to know exactly what you got to submit, okay? Your video's got to follow the scoring rubric. So to get the best chance at having a high score, follow the rubric. It's all laid out very clearly, okay? You must also, with your submission, have a signed release waiver. There's a video photo release waiver. It's a standard waiver that Fanshawe has. Sign that. There's a spot to submit it in the submission form, okay? It's just a PDF that you got to sign, okay? You make sure your video is submitted as either a YouTube link or as an MP4, MPEG file, or AVI file, okay? When you're creating your video, most phones, computers, they all use one of these standard file formats. Some people, if you end up with a very large file, if it's larger than a gig, which it should not be for a 5-minute video, you can always upload it to YouTube and then keep it as a private video and send us the link, okay? Or if you want to make it public, it doesn't really matter here. Now, as I said, videos got to show both you and your slide deck. You know, we encourage other visuals too, you know, having some videos, some pictures, those can be included to kind of help the audience understand what you're trying to pitch. So use visuals to your advantage. Make sure that your presentation complies with the student code of conduct. What that means is, you know, don't be putting anything crazy or nasty in there, okay? As I said, no more than 1 gig in size. Can't be any more than 5 minutes in length. If it's 5 minutes and 1 second, we cannot accept it. So make sure you got that timing down, and your video must not contain any copyrighted music, photos, videos without providing credit. So make sure if you are adding some other stuff in there, just give credit where credit is due, okay? Because we do post these videos afterward for the People's Choice Award, okay? Any questions about that?
Can it be less than 5 minutes?
Yes, it can. Yeah. If you have troubles uploading this, downloading it, you're like, you know, something's not working. Number one, don't wait till the last second. We finish work at 4:30 here. If you're having troubles, just shoot me an email, but make sure you're giving me enough time to actually help you. Okay, so if it's 11 p.m., the night it's due, odds are I'm not going to respond to your email. Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
Will you guide us on your format of credit?
Pardon me?
I mean, for the credit, will you guide us on how we do that? The format of the credit?
Yeah, like the format of the pitch.
I think like giving credits to the artists.
Oh, yeah, it's basically just, yeah, I can show you how to do that. Essentially, what you're doing is if you have a section where there's music and different things like that, that is not, that is copyrighted, it's not free to use, I'm just gonna put it in the video, like actual text on the screen that shows kind of who that artist is. Okay?
Well, we'll get a copy of this, right?
Yeah, you're gonna have a copy of this whole deck. Okay. Awesome. Okay, we already went over this. The prizing for People's Choice. That's where your video, so we choose every participant that becomes a finalist. We take their 5-minute pitch video, we put it up online, and then you get a chance to try to drive people to it to vote for you. And obviously the person who gets the most votes gets an additional $500. So if you come in first place and you're also the People's Choice winner, you can end up walking away with $2,000. Also of note is all participants in the finals will receive an award. So first, second, third are going to get a prize, but also 7 through 10 will also get something as well. Awesome. Okay, let's get into the actual pitch itself, which starts with a really good introduction. All good pitches do, right? So whether you're, introducing yourself in this pitch or maybe at a networking event, telling your colleagues, telling the judges about your business, or you're pitching to another professional, you got to capture attention. You got to capture it fast. 5 minutes goes by real quick, right? There's a lot to include in this pitch. So in situations like this, you need a short, easy to grasp explanation of your business and its products or services, like an elevator pitch, right? This is what your introduction should be, a quick elevator pitch before you dive in further, okay? Now, I know it's a recording. Sometimes hard to get excited on Zoom, but try not to be monotone, okay? Body language, tone of voice, passion, energy, very, very important in making us feel what you want us to feel. Like, you gotta make the judges feel like they want to give you some money, right? So if you're talking like this very monotone, it's gonna be hard for them to get excited about the idea. So bring that energy, which means you gotta practice it. And it might be a good idea to practice the presentation in front of some people, like friends, family, before you record it, to make sure they could feel it, okay? And I know for some people that's not your natural state, but just do your best, okay? Just be professional, make sure you are, dressed appropriately, like you're doing a business pitch, right? So even though it's a recording, what you wear is important too, because you're probably gonna see you from about here up at least, or depending on what you're doing, might see all of you, right? So body language, tone of voice, passion, energy, and make sure you look professional, okay? I'm a hand talker, so I gotta like watch out for things when I talk, so, but that's a good way to kind of, give that energy as well. Okay, so an elevator pitch. For those who have never heard of this before, it is a short, memorable description, right, of what you do and or what you sell, okay? That is the essence of your intro. And the goal is to just, usually when you're pitching somebody, the goal is to get them to listen more. If you were out selling, it'd be to get a second conversation with a prospect, right? To gain someone's attention so they just clue in and listen more and go, oh yeah, I can give you the next 4 minutes of my time and listen to the rest of your pitch. So you're not yet trying to convince the person. You're not trying to sell them just yet. You shouldn't be like, buy my thing right now in that first minute. You're just letting them know what's going on, okay? So it's not the opportunity to close just yet. It's an opportunity to close more of their attention, more of their time. So it's a quick introduction to you, an intro to the company, and how you can help your customers. That's what the intro is all about. So it has the purpose of just making people curious about what you're up to, okay? Usually it starts with some type of personal greeting, right? Hi, I'm so-and-so. I'm a student in this program. I'm here today to talk about this, okay? Then you kind of, that allows you to establish at least a little bit of a human connection. And it makes, if your target audience, ideally that you're focusing on, might be one of your customers, it might even allow them to feel a little bit seen and heard as well, right? That's the idea, is to connect to them, show that you're a human connecting to another human. Then we shift, into that statement of your company's value and benefit. Okay, so this piece is really essential to get people to buy in and buy in quickly. And it usually includes something we call a hook. Anyone ever heard of that before? Having a hook in your pitch? Okay. That's the real piece that gets people's attention. And it can be something as simple as a probing question. Maybe it's a highly personalized statement that really like connects to something deeply emotional for people. And it should be tailored to your target audience's needs, okay? You're looking for something to really hit them, just one key thing, okay? That's the thing that might seal the deal. So this section really just reveals the essence of your business, and this reveal has to be well planned out. The intro can kind of make or break whether people kind of pay attention, right? Now, if you're building a business plan for your business or for a class, this part could be pulled from what we call the executive summary portion of your business plan. You might have some of this already written, which is great. Some of you might not have that. But an effective elevator pitch for timing, just to give you some idea here, you're looking at about 30 seconds to 1 minute on this section, okay? And that goes by pretty fast. So that's the whole idea of an elevator ride, 30 seconds to a minute typically, unless it's a really slow elevator, like in some of the buildings here at Fanshawe. So looking at about a minute max. So you want to keep your words in there, easily digestible. Avoid using like really, if you're looking at like a technical project, avoid using complex language, jargon, things like that. And try to avoid in the intro going too deep into specifics. That can really drag on the conversation too long. That's what the rest of the pitch will be for a bit later, okay? So this part should be, all about grabbing their attention and keeping them interested to go into more details. So a lot of effort and thought goes into this intro. And ideally, if you can describe, your company, its value in about 3 sentences, a full paragraph, read that out, see how long that takes, and then build on it from there. It's a lot easier. Some people like to start with something short and then build on it. Others like to have a whole bunch of things and cut it down. I'm in the camp of start with less and then add, because I tend to add way too much to things, eh, Nick? And then I'm like, oh no, that's too important. I can't cut that. What's that?
And I have the opposite problem.
Right.
I usually start with.
Well, we do our lectures in the summer. I'm like, oh, it's only 4 hours. It's supposed to be an hour. Yeah, we gotta cut. Okay. So marking scheme for the introduction. It's worth 10 marks. And to receive full score in this section, remember, you're describing your business. So what are you actually including? You know, make sure we know who you are, what the business is overall. What exactly are you selling? Okay, be plain, be specific. What's your motivation to do this? Your why, your inspiration, and mention who you're actually targeting. Okay. Other things that you could include that grab people's attention. Tell a story, right? Somebody who won our pitch competition a couple of years ago, he invented a story about a family dog that passed away, and oh man, he had the judges like eating out of his hands. Him and his team were developing a new attachment for like SLR cameras that allowed for this specific thing. So it was all about capturing memories in a very specific way. And he used the story of the family dog and the memories they didn't have about it as a way to kind of really connect with people and show how we don't want to miss memories in certain ways. It was well done, I have to say. As a passive observer, I was impressed at how well the judges resonate. He knew his audience. He definitely knew there were some dog lovers in that audience. So stories are great. Hard data is really great. If you've got some key stats or key facts or figures that are impactful and powerful, that's a good thing to use too. This is where you might want to mention just a couple key benefits of the product or service itself, but make sure to keep it brief. That part comes in a little later. Don't want to go into too much detail yet. You might want to, like, if you've got a unique business model that is like a cool aspect of it, maybe you've got a multi-sided market like Airbnb that's really interesting and different in an industry, that could be worth mentioning here. You could also mention the current stage of development. These are obviously optional. These are, you gotta have that, okay? You also want to probably maybe mention a little bit of what makes you unique, right? There's room for that throughout the presentation. You can also put your ask up front. Every single presentation and pitch has to have some type of ask of the judges, okay? It is a pitch after all, right? It can be a sales type pitch. You know, it could be something as I'm seeking $1,500 to launch this business, you know, or to invest into marketing or invest into product development to alleviate my demands as a Fanshawe College student, you know, because groceries are expensive. Some type of ask. You can put it up front. Other people put it at the back. It doesn't matter, but it's got to be in there because there's marks associated with the ask. Okay. Don't forget it. A lot of people accidentally forget the ask. I don't know why. It just seems to happen. Go ahead, Nick. Yeah.
And like, the money doesn't have to be your only ask or like your sole ask, you know, if you're like really looking for like proof of concept, like is a demand, a need, or a problem out there, you can ask for a connection, you can ask for a conversation in front of the specific judge afterwards as well too. It doesn't just have to be so you see some creative to generally get kept.
Good point, Nick. We've got a question in the chat. Adnan is asking, does the entire pitch have to be a one-shot take of the presentation, or can it be a video pitch which is edited and animated? It's up to you how you put your video together. If you have the capability of adding animations and other things like that, you want to splice different things together, by all means, go for it, okay? But as I stated at the beginning, adding in a lot of graphics and different things like that will go more into the bonus points section of the presentation. So it's not mandatory, okay? Awesome, thanks, Adnan. So remember, you gotta have some slides. So just an example, I just wanna kind of point this out for this section. The judges are gonna watch your pitch. They're gonna be listening to you. The slides are there to support you. So you only got 5 minutes, you're gonna be talking and going through stuff quickly. This might be a little too much text, right? So be aware of that when you're building your slides. You don't need a lot of stuff on there. Sometimes a couple of images to kind of build off what you're saying, or keywords that kind of drive a point home, okay? but you do need a slide deck to support you, but it's there to just support you. They won't be pausing the video and going, I gotta read this slide, okay? Listening more than reading. So just keep that in mind. So here's an example introduction. Yes. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Like the system of slide deck.
Nope, there's no set amount of slides, totally up to you. Because everybody's business industry gonna be a little different. What you might think is gonna work for you could be different than somebody else. So it's not like a classroom pitch, you know, where the prof's giving you a set deck. We want you to make this your own. Okay. Okay, so an example introduction. So, hey, I'm Dave. I'm the founder of Better Than the Rest Cable. We help hotels across Canada pair with the perfect cable provider and plan for their region and needs. With regional experts assigned to each account, we help hotels identify the most cost-effective and guest-delighting cable plan for them.
Yeah.
Very concise, right? Very boring, but you know, selling cable makes money. In one sentence, you know, we've managed to tell people what sets us apart and how you can actually bring them value, right? Maybe you pique some interest, but how can you actually really grab their attention? Well, that's where the hook comes in, okay? You gotta pull your audience in, right, a little bit further, and maybe that's about adding, you know, like I said, some hard data. On average, we're able to save hotels up to 25% on their annual cable bills. If I was pitching somebody in that industry, right, oh, now you've got my interest, right? That might not be the way you're approaching it, but it's just an example, right? You gotta pull that audience in with something that actually will pique their interest, okay? You know, offer up a story, offer up a fact, a stat, okay? Something that you think is attention grabbing for your industry. So just assume the judges are assuming your target market when you're pitching them, okay? Speaking of the target market, let's get into that section, because that's usually where you'll go next. Now, the order of operations of the rubric does not mean that you got to kind of follow exactly that in your pitch. However, the wrap up and the intro, yeah, those kind of sandwich everything. How you do the rest is up to you of how you want to kind of roll it out. This is kind of the way we think works, but that doesn't mean that you have to follow it. So you're identifying, this part's worth 15 marks. You need to make sure that you identify who exactly is the potential customer. Sometimes that can be really easily done if you want to make a sample target market profile, sometimes called an avatar, sometimes called a customer segment. Okay, we'll go over a bit of target market profile details in a second. You also need to make sure that you identify what the problem or opportunity or need is that I have identified that this target market has. Okay, where is the gap that they have that you're trying to fill? Okay. Now, all solutions, you know, they start with a problem, right? That your business is actually trying to solve. So it's important to get the point across, you know, early on, start it in the elevator pitch, you know, to set the theme for the rest of your pitch. Okay. You know, an example problem, you know, coordinating work between teams is chaotic. You know, we see it here at FanShop, but that's why there's great programs like Microsoft Teams that we use here or Slack, right? That's the problem, that chaos of doing team management with a team of, you know, hundreds of people, okay? So if possible, you got to relate that problem back to your target audience, and you can use real world examples here, right? That's that key, connecting that issue to the people who are seeking it, okay? This will help make the problem more relevant and hopefully grab the attention of the judges even more, okay? If your problem isn't easy to explain, try using more than one example. Like if you're doing something pretty complex or something very innovative that's never been done before, that can, having multiple examples can, you know, or even a visual, that can help as well. That can paint a picture to your audience and go, oh yeah, okay, I get it now, right? You don't want to, like, obviously you're not going to see the judges during the pitch, right? So you can't see their reactions of, do they get it or not? So you got to make sure that you've given them the assets they need to understand. They don't want to be 2 minutes into it and go, we still don't know what it is. And I've seen the judges do that. Last year, it happened, right? They're like, 5 minutes just went by and I actually don't know what they're selling, right? So it's important to make sure that you're painting that picture for them. And then you also want to include some of the pain points of your customers, okay? So let's talk a little bit about identifying that problem. Definitely one of the most important slides in your deck, one of the most important parts of the presentation. Again, this is the problem or the need that your customer has. It's the foundation of your business idea, okay? Why is that? It's because your solution to the problem or need that they have is going to be your product or your service, right? So if your product does not actually solve a problem, does not satisfy some type of need, odds are nobody's going to want to buy it, right? So there needs to be that correlation, okay? Sometimes it is called product market fit, okay? Where is that connection? So this slide, you know, is all about showing the judges, potential investors, customers, the audience, how relevant your product or service is, and it provides a nice glimpse into your market. Now, it'd be best if you had your, you know, audience agree with you, right? Yes, this problem or need does exist, right? And it's often why sometimes we can present things as a question, okay? Then, you know, you get to highlight that problem or need maybe with a further story or an example. You know, it's a way to help kind of reveal the problem or the need. You do it by just focusing on key pains that people might be having or issues or improvements that might make someone's life a little bit better, right? So it's always helpful here, definitely, to include facts, figures, data points to make it convincing. Like, that problem is so big, there's data to back it up, right? But nothing, I'll say this, nothing beats a good emotional story, okay? So it can be a mix. I know I've mentioned that a few times. So if this idea is born out of an issue that you've personally experienced, it's time to mention that. It's time to tell your own story, okay? That can be really powerful too. Tell people how that issue made you feel. Okay? So you want the judges to feel connected to the problem and need. You want them to feel, yes, this is an issue that needs to be solved, and I'm one step closer to giving you that money, okay? You know, good old infomercials used to use the old phrase, how many times has this happened to you? You ever see the old commercials like that? Oh no, it's not available. I have a good infomercial right here. I don't know why it's not working. Dang it.
Try to click in the YouTube logo, it might redirect you, like in the bottom right.
Okay.
Yeah, take you to the page. Now, just.
No. Maybe, oh, see, it's like right here. I can see it. Ah. Well, that sucks. Sorry, guys. I guess it's been I have to move this back over here. There we go. I guess someone's taken that awesome. It was really funny. It was like all the best infomercials from the 90s and 2000s. If I find it, I will send it to you guys, okay? I apologize. But you can find them out there, and actually there's a bunch of links to some in the resource document already. There's also some great ones from Dragon's Den and Shark's Tank, and a few others on there as well. Some just great intro pitches. But old infomercials in that format are really great for identifying a problem and need, like right up front, right? Because that's how they come right out of they know they only have like a few seconds to grab your attention, so they hit you hard with it and fast. Okay, so how could you lay out the problem slide? This is just an example. This is from Airbnb's, an old slide deck that they used to have. You know, what is the problem? Okay, price, hotels, no easy ways exist. So basically, price is an important concern for customers booking travel online, right? Hotels leave you disconnected from the city and its culture. No way or easy way exists to book a room with a local or become a host. Well, now it does, because now there's Airbnb, right? So this is one of their original slide decks. Great way to just lay it out, and you could kind of explain that with that slide next to you, right? Very simple, concise. These words are just adding value to what you're saying. They're not distracting from it. So as I said, this part of the presentation also needs to identify your target market. So we need to make sure that we're giving that the time it needs. So this is where you explain who your customers are, and you want to show how well do you actually know them. So also, if you're sourcing this data, make sure on your slides you're putting like, okay, this is where, mention it. This is where I got this information. Unless you did the research yourself, Just show where you got your info. You're not making it up, okay? So when thinking about who your customers are, if you're still not sure at this point with your presentation, you're thinking about all the people or organizations that you create some type of value for. And obviously, in order to better satisfy customers, a company might group these people into what we call distinct customer segments, okay? And a target market is within one of those segments. And this can be a bit different, you know, depending on if you're a B2B or B2C business. B2B means a business doing business with other businesses. B2C is company doing business with just general consumers like you and I, okay? For B2C, customer segmentation, things you know about them might be things like age, gender, interests, lifestyle, where they live, you know, their socioeconomic status, language, spending or buying habits, right? You want to show that you kind of know this person, you've identified with them, okay? If it's B2B, it's going to look a little bit different, right? You're going to be more concerned with their industry and their company, right? You're going to want to know, like, we're focused on these key decision makers. We make software for marketing managers at these type of companies. We make D2L, which is what Fanshawe uses to provide you with FOL, right? So we focus on helping educational institutions with their software needs for their students, right? So who are the decision makers you're focused on? What's the industry? Is the company public or private might be of interest to you? How big is the company? Where are they located? Again, they might have buying patterns as well that you might want to mention too. Now, you may only have one, or you could have several target customers. Depends on your industry, depends on your focus. In this kind of pitch, you probably just want to focus in on one key one, okay? You don't have a lot of time to go, we've got 7 different customer segments or target markets. Focus on the most important one right now, okay? Now, this is gonna be very different for each and every one of you because you're gonna have different businesses, right? But you need a way to kind of showcase that profile. And one key thing to remember, don't be so naive to think everyone is your customer. It is not the case. You need to be specific here. Who are you helping, okay? Got to make a conscious decision about which segments you will serve, which ones you're gonna ignore, and make that clear in the pitch, okay? This is exactly who I'm helping, okay? Now, no two customers are identical, right? These are just this slide's here for you to look at after, just different examples of how you might lay this out. And different kind of data points that you might want to be collecting to round out the profile. Those are things that we've already kind of mentioned, like age and location and income and education, the job, their lifestyle and adventurous, and they're open to new experiences, they're environmentally conscious. You won't have time to go through like all of this in detail, but using this process of doing customer segmentation while you're building your pitch and doing this research can give you a more rounded picture of who these people are, okay? Ideally, what you're trying to do is just, you know, paint us a picture of who you can have the most impact on, okay? Individuals, businesses. The judges just want to have a clear understanding of what niche you're trying to focus on, okay? Any questions about target market problem? No? Okay. Let's talk about opportunity and demand section. Okay, to get full marks here, which is worth 15, or sorry, 15, worth 10, apologize. Double check that.
Yes.
Because we changed it from last year. Thank you. 10 marks. You need to showcase like how do you actually know there's a demand for this product or service. You may have already mentioned a little bit of this in your intro, but this is where you might want to show your data again. Prove to us that there is a gap there. There is a demand. This is just another opportunity for you to show some data, okay? And then you can go into, this is where it kind of feeds into the size and value of the market. What is this market worth? Like, show your judges there's potential to make some money here, okay? Make some impact. Now, it may be smart to create what we call like an industry profile. And here we've listed what could be included in that profile, okay? So you're showcasing maybe the current size of the industry, you know, at one or all levels. You know, you want to actually do more than just a quick Google and see the first data point. how big is the, college student market in Canada? Okay, there's X million number of college students in Canada and it's worth X dollars. Okay, that's okay. But for your business, you might be focusing in a specific province or a specific city or a specific little region. So make sure the data, don't go for the biggest numbers because you think it looks impressive. Go for the most relevant ones that make sense to your business, okay? So you could include how many dollars are spent annually in that industry. It could be how many units are sold or consumed in your industry. It could be both, right? But be prepared to tell people where you got the info. So when you're sourcing this, maybe it's from Stats Canada, or maybe you're going to the library to use one of the databases there with one of the research assistants to find more information about your target market, which is free and available to you at any time. You can go and talk with one of the library research assistants and they can help you with this research. So take advantage of that. Growth potential. This is important too. Is the industry growing? Is it stable? Is it in decline? Right? This might be where you might think about, like, if it's a Canadian company, is the recession an issue and impacting it? Right? And that's where the industry trends come in. What external trends are impacting or could impact your industry? Or, could create opportunity for you. Other things you can include is like average profit for a business in your industry. Now, if you're in something that's like really niche or new, you might not be able to get this data, and that's okay. Just depends on what you're building. And thinking about seasonal issues. If you were a seasonal business, it might be worth mentioning how that cycle kind of works and can impact your business too. So if you're opening up a summer lawn care business, well, yeah, obviously there's seasonal cycles with a business like that you might want to mention. Okay. So how you could maybe display it is using something like this, called Samsung total addressable market. This is what the whole market is, and it's worth, X billions of dollars globally. Okay, that's great. Well, a little less relevant for us. Then we've got the actual serviceable available market. This is a portion of the market that you can acquire, maybe based around your business model. So it's like, this is what we could maybe grow to one day if everything goes right. And then we've got the smallest size here, which is our target market. Call that the actual obtainable market. That's the percentage of the available market that you could realistically grab based on your skills, your knowledge, your resources and budget. It's worth this much, $1 billion, but I'm looking to gain maybe 0.04% of that, right? So be realistic in your projections, okay? The judges, especially in the finals, will be critical of that. If you're like, yeah, I'm gonna do $1 million in sales in my first year, okay, you gotta have some serious data to kind of back up how that's gonna happen, right? And maybe you are. I'm not gonna take that away from anybody. It's very possible that could be the truth. But this is just an example of how that slide might work, how you might want to roll that data out as you talk through it. Just another example of how you can kind of write it out. Obviously, it starts with a big number and gets a lot lower. And it might not be $1 billion industry, and that's okay. Maybe you're looking at having more of a social impact rather than a profit impact. Because you get to decide what you want to do with this business, right? So don't think that having big numbers here is the important thing. What it is what they're looking at is there enough here to make it sustainable for you? Okay. All right. Let's move into the solution, right? So by now, at this point in your pitch, the audience, has a good understanding of the problem, right? They should be invested in the idea of, okay, how are you going to fix this issue? Also, okay, there's some market here, some opportunity. You're passionate about this. I know who you're focusing on. Okay, how are you actually going to help these people, right? So this is where you get to present that innovative and exciting and memorable idea that you've come up with. So this is the part where, that story that you might have been telling comes to a happy ending. And that happy ending is the solution you created. So if you've got a prototype that maybe you've already built, this is where you could show it off, right? Don't be afraid to use visuals, okay? And if you haven't built anything yet, scour the internet and take pictures and videos of other things that are like it, right? Give them a sense of what this is to show it off, especially if it's complicated. Visuals can really speak loudly, okay? But it's important. Make sure your audience can fully understand your solution. So that means don't wait till the last second to put this together and not practice with somebody. So pitch this to someone else and be like, did you get what I'm selling? Does it make sense? It's important, right? Because you might understand it really well. That doesn't necessarily mean that other people will, okay? So if they are struggling to understand that concept, then you've got a problem, okay? So for your solution slide, make sure the slide isn't wordy, make it digestible, use visuals, okay? You don't necessarily need to have a slide deck with any data points. It can just be pictures, okay? You know, people can listen and read at the same time, but not if there's too much information, okay? So try a diagram, try pictures, okay? So for the solution, this part is worth 15 marks. And, you know, it's pretty straightforward. You're just answering these key questions. What does your actual product or service do? So you've already kind of opened with it in your intro. This is your chance to go into more detail, right? This is where you can talk about some of the features of it. This is where you talk about the true benefits and outcomes that a customer might get from using it, okay? This is where you talk about how it actually specifically solves that problem or satisfies that need. And then it also needs to include your pricing, okay? What's your pricing points or pricing strategy for this, okay? So what are you gonna charge? Any questions about that? Pretty straightforward? Okay. How you can showcase that, we go back to that Airbnb example again. The solution, a web platform where users can rent out their space to host travelers to, what are the key benefits? Save money when traveling, make money when hosting, and share culture by helping you connect to locals in the city. Boom. Obviously, their business is a lot more complicated than that. However, they just boiled it down into 3 key data points, right? You know exactly who they're focusing on and how they're gonna help them. Okay, and you know the problem that they're focused on. Okay. So what you don't see here is a crazy list of every feature of what they do, you know? It could be things like a search area map, you know, that allows you to see Airbnbs available in certain regions. That's a great thing, right? That we use a lot when we use Airbnb, but you don't see it here, right? They're talking about the key points, the key pieces of value, okay? You know, other thing is that you can search by budget, which is great too. Maybe now, that wasn't an original feature, but maybe now if they had this deck, it would be featured because that is a key thing that a lot of people use, especially today when money's tight, right? Searching by budget is crucial, okay? It also doesn't include any details on pricing, but you might want to include that for you in your pitch, okay? Okay, let's talk about market strategy. So just listing social media or Instagram or YouTube, not good enough, okay? Make sure you describe the types of marketing you will do and why you chose that. Typically, you choose a marketing channel because your target market is there, right? You will be able to find them through that channel, okay? You have a lot of different ways that you can market to people, but it needs to make sense, right? See what your competition is doing. That's the best way to identify what you might want to do for this business if you're kind of stuck. So some things that you can include, okay, is how are you going to attract people, right? Get the word out. And then how are you going to keep them coming back, right? So attracting and retaining. So you're just explaining the different activities that you plan to engage in and find. Maybe your whole business is built off referrals and you're going to spend a year getting out there and networking and building connections and relationships. That's totally fine, but explain that. Maybe give some examples of events you're going to go to and conferences or trade shows or a referral program that you're going to set up, okay? So what you're looking for here is your plan for marketing. In there could be points on what you're going to do for promotions. Maybe you're going to run discounts to grab business for the first 6 months. Run some certain promotions, okay? Maybe you're doing a lot of PR. Maybe you're going to host an event for the community and do something like a Tough Mudder for charity or something like that. And you're going to bring out all the news outlets out to it, or maybe you're going to sponsor baseball teams. I don't know, right? There's lots of opportunity there. But we want to see, okay, what is this plan for the next year of what you're gonna do to get business and keep it, okay? And you also might want to mention, like, how are you gonna measure the effectiveness of it a little bit, okay? That's important too. So 10 marks for this little section. Hard to show all of this, but you could just use logos. Here's the social platforms we're gonna use for an awareness strategy. We're gonna run ads here, and we're gonna do a promo code with that. And we're gonna go to this trade show. You know, sometimes people use their calendar just to give you a sense of like, oh, we've actually gone and prepped the whole 12 months. Don't expect you to necessarily do this, have a full marketing plan calendar done for 12 months of this business, but for some of you building business plans for classes, I can remember when I was a student, we actually had to go and do that. So you could give a snapshot of it, but just give people a sense of what you're doing to generate that business, build awareness, and try to be, you know, this is the key to beating out your competition. How are you going to get out there? Okay. Any questions about the marketing strategy section? Okay. Now we head into the wrap up. This is where you get to remind everybody why you're the one to choose, okay? So you need to make sure you just kind of, a good way to do this is just summarize the major points you want to leave people with, right? It may have really been memorable in the intro, and perhaps things get a little stagnant in the middle. It's a lot of data, a lot of things to go through really fast, but leave them with something powerful and memorable, okay? And don't forget a clear call to action that states what you're asking for, okay? Maybe it's an investment, maybe it's a sale, maybe it's to go to the website, maybe it's to donate to a Kickstarter campaign, whatever it is, again, do not forget the ask. It's an easy way to lose 5 marks. It takes 1 second to add that into your presentation, okay? Again, do not forget the ask. I think, honestly, a lot of people forgot this last year.
Again, like every year, there's like
Yes.
a third or a fourth of the submissions that we don't, and it's 5 marks, and when everybody's kind of neck and neck, it's a good way to talk about it. So
It's just a silly, it's like your prof asked you to put a title page on a presentation and you forgot it and it was worth 5 marks. And it's like, oh my God, I can't believe I forgot that. But the judges still have to score you accordingly, right? Okay, let's talk about some bonus points. This is where that wow factor comes in. So things that you could earn you some extra points here. Check my little rubric here. These are 10 possible extra marks, okay? So what we're thinking about here is first, communication. Are you clear? Are you concise? Does it seem like you practiced, right? Are you giving off a sense of confidence and professionalism, okay? Are you holding eye contact? And do you have good body language through the presentation? Or are you just kind of like this, right? Like, that's okay when you're in person. I know like people get nervous and things like that, but remember, this is a recording, right? So you've got that opportunity to nail this and practice it and retake it, right? So use that to your advantage. Also, how cohesive and logical is your pitch, right? Don't get lost in it, right? Rambling needs to make sense, follow a logical order, and the wow factor. That's 5 marks. You can use that however you want, right? That could be your sassiness that comes through. It could be crazy graphics that you use. I don't know. It's up to you, right? But there is a chance to surprise and delight people. So use that however you want. So total marks for this, ignore this slide. It says 75. It's actually 80 now this year because we just adjusted the rubric, and the one that you have is the updated one. This is just a old slide from last year. So 80 marks total. Again, these will be shared with you, more presentation resources. Any questions about the rubric and presentation portion before we talk about some added things to make a great video? Yes.
So you mentioned a marketing strategy that we shouldn't just go by measuring, okay, it's using a certain amount of Facebook. So how do we advance from there?
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
For the marketing strategy, you said we shouldn't just mention we're going to use Instagram. So how do we progress from there? Yes,
Say why. Why did you choose Facebook? Why are you choosing Instagram?
what type of content are you? Gonna
Yes.
post? Is it gonna be video, pictures, text?
Yes.
Is there gonna be cross promotion with, businesses or other influencers, like,
Nick, you can come up closer to.
oh, sorry. Sorry for everybody allowed to hear that, but there's nothing wrong with saying like that platform, just tell us like why you're choosing it, how you're gonna actually utilize it tactically. And if there's gonna be a point in time where you're branching out to other platforms too. We just want, we've gotten ones before where they just said, I'm gonna use Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And then it's like, but like how and why did you choose it? So that if you can add the how and the why, that gives a small part, or the judge.
Question.
Yes,
So, about the eye contact.
yeah,
So we did a presentation relating to this sometime, and it was with our laptops.
yep,
And I bet you, I was looking at my screen,
right, because you're reading,
talking, like.
yeah,
But then, the report I got was, there was no eye contact. So
right,
when you're looking at your laptop, are you supposed to be presenting like this?
I know.
Or like this?
Yeah, that's a toughie with a video recording, right? Obviously, what you want to give off is a sense that you're not reading, that you have put some thought into, or into some, not thought, put some effort into memorizing and knowing your material. So you should be able to kind of just look at the camera in that way. But it doesn't mean you've got to be like laser locked in like this the whole time. It's pretty natural for people to kind of move their gaze and things like that, right? I think it would almost seem crazy if you were just dead staring at the camera the whole time. So I think just not that you're avoiding the gaze, right? Like just making sure that you are in a natural state of eye contact. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you are recorded on your laptop and you have notes, like maybe have your notes on the screen in presenter view versus like having handwritten notes and looking down and kind of
Yes.
looking up. That was something I always did.
There's apps out there like Big View Teleprompter where it actually, you can put your presentation up on here and it moves with your voice and things like that. There's actually new AI for free where you can actually do a full recording of you looking at a script over here and it will change your eyes and make it look like you're staring right at the screen. Yeah, and it works seamlessly. I have tried it. It's
What's the name?
shocking. There's about 5 or 6 different ones. You just do a quick Google and you'll be able to find it. It's kind of freaky, to be honest. But yeah, stuff like that does exist. You know, hey, use the tools that are available to you, right? So, but know that when it comes time to do the final presentation,
Yeah.
you've got to have this dialed, right? Like you'll have the deck, but you got nothing else. So you've got to know your material, okay? Any other questions?
How many people like typically pitch? Like submit?
Oh, submit? It's the last couple of years, like post-COVID, it's been pretty light. We haven't had a crazy amount, about 20.
Last year wasn't bad though.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had 20.
20, yeah.
20?
Yeah, pre-COVID, it was a lot of submissions, you know, but since COVID, it's really gone down. I know, we're not sure. We're promoting it pretty heavily this year. So we're hoping for a decent amount, but yeah, it could kind of be. I can't give you enough consistency to give you a right answer on that. Okay, any other questions?
Anything online up there?
I don't think so.
Just
Yeah.
looking at the screen, so.
Nobody online has questions? Oh, great program, thank you. Has anyone ever used Loom before? Loom is a great, so if you're doing your recording at home with your laptop, what it allows you to do is just have your slide deck up. And then it actually, it'll just have your head popped up on the screen there. And so it'll do a screen capture. And then you can kind of move where your head is in the video. It's a free program. We use it actually in our summer program. So thank you for online folks for mentioning that. Loom is a great way to do the recording. Okay, so let's talk about the video itself. I know for some of you, maybe it's a little scary or intimidating to think about making a video, but know that all great videos just have the same basic elements, you know? And once you understand those elements, you should be equipped to make a pretty great recording. So let's go through just some helpful tips. We've already talked about this one, which is make sure to include your hook. Remember, attention's limited, 5 minutes goes by fast, it's a lot to pack in. So within those first minute, you're grabbing their attention, you're introducing yourself really clearly, you're showing your energy, and you're gonna showcase what's gonna benefit them, okay? So bring that value, bring that energy. Don't assume people already know what you're doing, okay? So this is the 6 W's. This is part of our presentation already when we were talking about your solution, okay? So this would be a good scoring rubric to give anyone you're gonna pitch to and just say, did I answer all of this? Who are you? What do you offer? What's the value? What's the competitive advantage over the competition, or what makes you unique? Maybe where you offer it, why people should care. And don't have to include this, but you could. When's it available if it isn't already? So where can I get it? How can I get it? Okay? But just don't make that assumption that people will know because, oh, you've heard of this industry before, right? So if you go through your presentation, watch your own recording, and you can't answer that, ooh, that's a problem, right? Okay, short and sweet. Okay, this is advice for me. As I said, I like to just put everything in. So if you're that type of person that just overdoes it, do that, but give yourself enough time in the next month, next 23 days, to condense it down, okay? To strip things out, to practice with, you know, you can come and practice with us, you can practice with other people, right? Some of you here are from Dave Moreland's class or Dave McKenna, right? Practice with them, use those office hours, okay? Remember, anything over 5 minutes won't be considered. Anything under 3 minutes, I would say is questionable, that you have enough content in there to even make it good, okay? Okay, focus on benefits, but support things with features. 5 minutes isn't even maybe fully enough, depending on what you're building, to describe every single aspect of it. As I said with the Airbnb example, you know, that's a big pitch to talk about all the features that they actually have included in a platform like that, both because they have 2 key target markets, right? There's a lot of benefits to hosts, a lot of benefits to travelers, and a lot of features for each of them. So it's important to know there is a difference between features and benefits, right? Remember, a feature is a technical part of your solution. A benefit is just how it makes someone's life better. It's more closely tied to the value, right? It's more about, the benefit is more about the outcome they get. You know, GoPro, right? Benefit lets us capture awesome memories, right? Fitbit helps us stay in shape. Each has cool features like being an 8K camera or having biometric data and, you know, being able to calculate your VO2 max. But, you know, what do we actually care about? What really connects with people? Capturing those awesome memories when you're skydiving or skiing, right? Or, you know, being able to help us stay in shape and live a healthier life, right? So always focus first on the benefits, okay? They can show the product's features through them, okay? You use the features to support the benefit, okay? So don't, if you're taking, condensing for time, it's better to think about like, okay, if I'm listing way too many features of this, just think about the most important ones and make sure that each one is matched with supporting some type of benefit of the product or service, okay? The old saying, features tell, benefits sell, okay? And here we're trying to sell for $1,500, right? Ad libs. So I've given you a couple templates here that you can utilize as a quick way to kind of start shaping the value of what you're offering. You've got a fill in the blank here. Value proposition template, and then Nick gave you the green one here, which is a different one from Strategizer. These are, you know, just good ways to get into starting to make your elevator pitch, your intro. It makes sure that you're not missing anything because it gives you space to make sure you've identified a target market. You've got a need or problem that you're identifying, so your specific customer segment. You've got space to say what the product or service is, and then how do you actually help people? In this one, there's a little bit of add. It's how do you actually help them by adding a verb in? Are you helping them reduce a pain or avoid a pain? Or maybe you're helping them with some kind of positive benefit by increasing or enabling some type of gain. And in this one, it even gives that opportunity to compare yourself to a competition. Sometimes a great way to hook somebody is by saying who you are like or unlike, right? So there's opportunity there. So utilize these as good tools to start building your pitch with. our online folks, don't worry, we haven't forgotten about you. You'll be getting an email afterwards. I'll share these documents with you. So these things just force you to pinpoint how exactly you're creating value, because there's only limited space there, right? And you only got limited time. So prototype 3 or 5 different kind of versions of these, fill them out, and start pitching them to other people, see what works best for you. Okay, be real and personal, okay? People, customers, investors, people selling to people. That's all this really is, right? And we get excited about a product when we connect with the team and we connect with the person behind it, right? So keep it real, okay? A personal connection can be really deeply rewarding for you and for the people that are listening, taking the time to listen to this. So it shows them that they can trust you, and that if I trust you, I know you're going to be the one to actually do this, right? So this is where that body language, speaking directly to the camera, being completely honest, okay? So never misrepresenting yourself, the company. So don't overinflate things here because you think it will sound better, okay? And don't forget to show us your passion. And if it's connected deeply to something personal, talk about it, right? If you believe it, we will believe in it, okay? Make sure we can hear you. Audio is an interesting thing, right? It's its whole thing in media production, but make sure if you're doing this recording, make sure you're in a room where the audio can actually work. The fans in this is a new room for us. There's really loud fans in here. Not a great place maybe to do a recording. You've got new bookable spaces in this building. If you don't have a space at home that works, there is lots of bookable rooms that even have TVs with Zoom, like with cameras already attached to them. You can do your full recording in that room, okay? If you don't have the equipment, media services, as a current student, you can go book a camcorder, ring lights and lighting kits and tripods and this owl cam. They've got everything you could imagine there to make a high production or low production video. Maybe it's just a tripod for your phone that you want to use, okay? They've got that. So take advantage of it. Banjo Media Services, they're located, has anyone been there before? A couple people, okay. If you know where the security desk is, campus security, it's over near there. But if you're over by like the pharmacy, like there's the rock climbing wall, so you kind of like head out of Innovation Village, go past Outback Shack, you come by the Booster Juice, you take a left, go by the pharmacy, out the door, right in the next door. And at the end of the hallway on the left is media services. One little door. You can also just Google it. There's a map, and we'll find it as well. But
It's in D,
yeah,
right behind the park.
is that technically D?
Yes.
It is?
technically D.
Okay. I wasn't sure. Thanks. I don't have the room number here, so
I just sent it to a student like yesterday. I don't.
thank you. So yeah, if anything is like when you record it, make sure you're listening back to it. If anything's unclear, you can always, if you record it with Zoom and do a cloud recording, it can add a transcription for you, which then can actually be uploaded with subtitles if you're thinking like people might not be able to understand you or hear you. Okay, and if you're not sure how to do that, Banjo Media Services can walk you through that too. Yes,
How do you book a room here?
that's a good question. For students, I don't know.
Is it through the library learning?
It might, that would probably be where you would go. It is? Yeah, okay.
Library that you can find something, say like real presentation, something.
And we still haven't gotten a full
Yeah.
breakdown of all the services available in this building yet, so thank you for that. Okay, I've already said this multiple times, show rather than tell. So, use concrete examples, photos, video clips of your work, testimonials from others. If it's an existing business, can go a long way too. Don't just face the camera and explain your company away. Use this, it's a video, so use visuals, okay? If you've got B-roll footage or stock video, photos of websites, lists of resources, those can always help, okay? And then again, I'm reminding you again, and with the clear call to action, okay? What do you want people to do? Okay? So I think I've said that enough times. Other basic questions to ask here. What's your product? How will it make my life better? How will I use it? Do I trust you? Do I want it? Will you deliver? That's what a judge is thinking. That's what a customer is thinking. These are all the thoughts that go through your head when you're deciding if you're going to choose one product or service over another often, right? In a day-to-day basis. So the judges are going to use that same thought pattern, right? So you need to make sure your pitch can answer those things. I know those questions seem simple, but answering them when you have to like follow a rubric and do this whole thing, it's a lot of work, right? Sometimes we get lost and we might miss a piece of this. So use these as a guiding light, okay? Most products are actually complex, you know, but might seem simple to you because you know it inside and out, okay? So try to see these videos through the eyes of someone who knows nothing about you and about your business idea, okay? You don't need to explain every detail. You just need to answer the questions here in the most engaging way possible, okay? So with that, I'm going to show you one participant video from last year. And the last year videos are on the website. Has anyone checked them out yet? Nobody? Okay. So on the Libro Business Plan Challenge section in our menu, you just hover above it. You'll see another link right under it, and it says past participant videos. Please check those out. You'll see an example, but for some people, you might not want to do that because it could skew your video. I'm that type of person. I don't like to see the competition, right? I used to be an athlete. I would never watch my competition before I would go. It psychs me out. To change my creativity, right? My methodology. So that's up to you. You don't have to look at it, but I'm going to show you one. So you've been pre-warned. And if you're online, you don't want to watch it, just stop watching for the next 4 minutes. Okay, let's make sure we can get some volume going here. I don't know why it's so small. I'm having video troubles today. Oh gosh.
Full screen.
I'm trying, yeah. It was full screen when I built this slide. Yeah, hold on. Crank the volume.
That's it.
Okay. Yeah, so this is Adriana pitching her business, Minerva Resin.
Business Fundamentals Entrepreneurship Program at Fan Shop. Today, I'm here to pitch you my business idea, Minerva Resin, for the chance to win $1,500. Minerva Resin sells handmade, fully customizable plastic board games and dice sets that inspire people to strengthen their relationship with friends and loved ones by providing them with beautiful, personal pieces to display and encourage more frequent use. Throughout our lives, board games can help us improve our memory, teamwork, and problem-solving skills, and strengthen our personal relationships. But as life gets busy, game cupboards close. They get forgotten, and we miss out on these wonderful benefits. The board game industry is growing, but there has been very little innovation in classic board games. So, despite how beneficial they are, today they come off as boring and forgettable. When was the last time that you played checkers with your friends and family? I bet it's been a while, but I bet it's a good memory. I'm creating Minerva Resin because in over a decade of making art with dozens of different materials, the one thing that never changes is the feeling of joy and pride in completing a piece of art. Nothing gets shown off as incessantly as something I created myself. By providing quality board games with a creative customization process, I hope to share the joy of creation with my customers and help them use it to spend quality time with their loved ones. My products give customers within my target demographic, people who play board games or role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons as a hobby, as well as mothers with young children, the ability to design and purchase a completely handmade classic board game or set of dice that is guaranteed to match their desired aesthetic, giving them a personal connection to the piece and encouraging them to display their games somewhere they're more likely to be seen and used often. My products will be priced with a competitive pricing strategy. This is determined using a cost-plus method that is typical for custom products and products made with varying materials. Almost 60% of Canadians buy board games from local game stores. So, in addition to our website, I want to reach out to game stores across London to retail a selection of my pre-made items, bringing what I have to offer to the shops you already love, and gaining an advantage over my direct competition, who are strictly online retailers. Given the diversity of my target market, I've developed 2 marketing strategies. To reach mothers with young children, I'll be entering annual craft and trade shows here in London, advertising on social medias like Facebook and Instagram, and promoting my business through decals on my car to be seen around town as they go about their busy schedules. For my fellow RPG and board game hobbyists, in addition to advertising on social media through decals, I'll be attending local game nights and tournaments to promote personally, and advertising in shops I'm partnered with, offering discounts to customers and commissions to owners for sales received through their report. I will also be offering a free 20-sided die and discount code with the purchase of players' handbooks or beginner kits to introduce new players to my products. Whether it's colors, glitters, personalized text, or anything your heart desires that can fit into a mold, Minerva Resin gives you the ability to design a board game or dice set that will then be handcrafted for you to display outside of that dusty games cover. In showing off your creation, it'll catch your attention and ask to be used, resulting in more quality time with the people that you love. Board games have been bringing us together for over 5,000 years and can help us keep those bonds strong for the next 5,000 to come. In a world of people as colorful and creative as any work of art, I believe our tools for connecting with each other should be just as colorful. I want to thank you for your time and consideration today, and ask that when you go home tonight, crack open the cupboard, dust off your favorite board game, and ask your favorite person or people to play a game with you. If you have any questions, want to learn more about Minerva Resin, or are interested in investing in my vision, please reach out to me at the email below. Thank you.
Okay, what do you guys think? Oh, hold on. There we go. Oh my goodness. Lost my mouse. There we go.
What is it?
Okay,
Did she win?
what's that?
Did she win?
She made it to the finals. She did not land in the top 3 though, unfortunately. So it was a good presentation. You know, it was enough to make it into the top 10. I think she did a great job. It was tough.
She won the shorter pitch competition.
She did. Yeah. Yes, she ended up winning, yeah, the MVP, which was the idea pitch competition. Yeah. So I know, you know, this can seem a little daunting, but there is a lot of time. You have 23 days to kind of put something together. So if you'd like to have an opportunity to practice, we have this beautiful space here, right? We have our team. If you're looking to have someone to bounce some ideas off of, book some time with us, come see us, you know, like we're happy to listen and give you some pointers too. But practice, practice, practice. That's the only thing that's going to make you truly make this awesome, is giving yourself enough time to prepare something and make it great. Okay. So with that, I say thank you for coming. I look forward to seeing your pitches come through. And if you're not already connected with Leap Junction and what we offer, please visit our website. Please follow us on social media, and please consider joining our mailing list, because we send out some great resources for student entrepreneurs all the time. How do you join the mailing list? It's on the website, just in our menu or at the bottom of the main home landing page. Awesome. Any questions? No?
That means you're perfect.
That means I'm perfect, I guess. Did this give a lot of clarity? Help? Yes? Okay. Go ahead, question.
Was her video, like, it looked like she'd been dubbed incorrectly. Is that because of?
No, that's the upload
Okay.
for this presentation. It worked fine, but yeah, I think something's kind of gone a little wonky with Google Slides right now, so apologize for that. Yeah, it was out of sync there, yeah. And if that does happen in your recording and you're struggling, why? Yeah, make sure you ask, you know, tech can be weird sometimes, I'll be honest. David is asking, I got late to the session, is it recorded? Yes, David, it is recorded. The recording and other resources will be sent to you most likely by tomorrow, because we have another session this afternoon, okay? Awesome. Any other questions? Great. Well, good luck, everybody. put together some great pitches. Don't forget about the Leap In Business Accelerator Program. And as a last reminder, save the date, February 29th, Leap Junction is hosting our 10-year birthday party in the Village Square, just down the hall in the big glass event space there. So more details coming on that, but it's gonna be an all-day super fun event. Fun games for current students from 10 to 2, and then an evening of music and good food and past leapers coming together to celebrate some great entrepreneurial stories at Pinchot College. So make sure you save that date. And if you're not on our mailing list, that's when we'll be sending out kind of the registration for that as well. Okay? Cool. See you all soon. You're welcome. Everyone online, when is the date? That was February 29th for the Leap In, the Leap 10-year birthday party. Online folks, any other questions before we sign off and close the recording? All right, then. I will take that silence as a no more questions. Good luck to you all as well. And yeah, David, as I said already, I will be sharing the recording. It'll be sent out to you tomorrow. Awesome.
Next week.
Great. All right, everybody, have a great afternoon and good luck.
So your class will.
Right.
So then, if you wanted to